The sun was hot, burning like fire from the sky. The sand stretched for miles. Dry and endless, Jason, a lone human explorer, walked slowly. His boots sank into the soft sand. He was tired, thirsty, and nearly out of supplies. His ship had crashed 2 days ago. Now he had no idea where he was. His water was finished, and his lips were dry. His skin was sunburned, and his eyes kept closing. Each step felt heavier than the last. Jason was ready to fall and never get up again, but then he saw something, a shape far in the distance, not a rock, not a creature, a person, or maybe something like a person. He blinked hard. The figure was small, thin, and moving toward him. The closer it came, the stranger it looked. It had pale blue skin, long silver hair, and bright glowing eyes. It wore simple clothes, like cloth wrapped around its body. Jason stopped, unsure if he was dreaming or going crazy. The alien girl didn't speak. She simply stood there, watching him. Then she raised her hand and pointed toward the sand dunes behind her. Jason didn't move, confused and scared, but she tilted her head as if asking him to follow. He had no better choice, so he walked slowly, following the silent alien girl. They walked for nearly an hour. No words were spoken, just the sound of footsteps in the sand. Then Jason saw it, a giant shape buried halfway in the sand. It was old, covered in dust, cracked and ancient, but he could see the edges clearly. It was a pyramid, not like the ones on Earth. This one was smooth, with dark metal sides. Alien symbols were carved deep into the surface. Some parts of it still shined, even under the dust. Jason took a few steps forward, staring in shock. "Is this real?" he whispered. The girl looked at him, still silent. Jason moved closer, touching the metal wall. It was warm, almost like it was alive. The alien girl suddenly looked nervous. She stepped back, shaking her head slowly. But Jason didn't stop. His hand moved over a circular mark near the center of the pyramid. The moment his fingers touched it, the mark lit up, glowing with golden light. A loud, deep sound came from inside. The ground trembled softly. Jason stepped back in shock. The alien girl stared at the glowing symbol, her eyes wide in fear. A long vertical line appeared on the pyramid wall. Then it split open slowly, like a door. Inside was dark, deep, and cold. Jason looked at the girl, waiting for her to say something. She only shook her head again and took another step back. She was afraid, but not of Jason. She was afraid of the pyramid. Jason took one small step forward. The inside of the pyramid pulled at him, like it was calling. Wind rushed from the open door, carrying the smell of metal and age, and then a voice, not loud, not from outside. It spoke inside his mind. "You are the Keyholder. Enter." Jason froze. He looked at the alien girl. She was staring at him like he was something dangerous. He looked back at the dark doorway. His heart pounded. This pyramid had been buried for maybe thousands of years. Why? Did it respond to him? He didn't know what Keyholder meant. He didn't know what waited inside. But something had started something big, and there was no going back. The pyramid had chosen him. Jason took a deep breath. He stepped through the doorway, into the darkness, and the alien girl. She followed silently as the door slowly closed behind them. The air inside the pyramid was cold, not like the desert heat outside. It smelled of dust, metal, and something older, something forgotten. Jason walked slowly, every step echoing. In the silence, the alien girl followed him, her footsteps quiet and light. She kept looking around nervously, like she didn't trust this place. The walls were smooth and dark, glowing faintly with blue lines. Symbols moved across the surface, as if alive. The floor was clean, too clean. There were no bugs, no dust, no sign of time. Jason reached out and touched the wall. It felt like glass, but warm. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A soft hum filled the air. Growing louder, Jason stopped walking, and the girl grabbed his arm. Her grip was strong, her eyes full of fear. She pointed back toward the entrance. But when Jason looked, The door was gone. No crack, no line, nothing. Just a smooth wall behind them. They were trapped inside. Jason's heart raced. He looked at the girl, and for the first time she spoke only one word. In a soft whisper, "Danger." Jason nodded slowly. He didn't know what was ahead. But they had no choice now. They had to keep moving. The corridor curved gently, the floor sloping downward as they walked. Small orbs of light floated out from the walls. They moved like fireflies, lighting the way. Jason noticed the walls showed moving pictures, battles between strange alien races. One species looked like the girl, tall, blue-skinned, glowing eyes. The others looked like monsters, machines, and beasts mixed together. In one scene, a group of aliens stood before a massive pyramid, their hands raised as they sealed it shut. A message played in Jason's mind: "Locked until the Keyholder comes. Only then shall the vault be opened." Jason turned to the girl. "What's inside?" "This place?" he asked. She stayed silent, looking at the image with sadness in her eyes. They entered a circular room next. It was empty, except for a large black stone standing in the middle. The stone pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Jason stepped toward it, curious, but the girl suddenly shouted, "No!" Her voice echoed across the chamber. Jason stopped. She pointed to the stone, then to herself, then made an X shape with her arms. "No one touches it?" Jason asked. She nodded slowly. But the stone was glowing more now because of him. Jason took one step closer. A deep voice spoke in his mind again. "Keyholder confirmed. Identity match. Begin memory access." The stone changed. It became transparent, like glass. Inside, Jason saw a moving image himself. He was a child, running on Earth. Then another memory, him working in space, fixing ships. Then another, crashing on this planet. Jason stepped back, stunned. "How does it know me?" he whispered. The girl looked just as shocked. Her glowing eyes locked on his. She asked quietly, "You born of them?" Jason didn't understand. "Born of who?" he asked. Suddenly, the ground shook. The lights turned red. An alarm echoed through the walls. "Unauthorized access detected. Defense mode active." The girl grabbed Jason's hand and pulled him forward. They ran into a narrow hallway, just as the stone behind them exploded. From the dust, a tall metal creature rose. It had 6 legs, sharp arms, and eyes that glowed red. It looked like a guard, an ancient machine left to protect the secrets inside. The hallway lit up with flashing lights as they ran. Jason turned once to look behind. The metal creature was chasing them. Fast. The pyramid was no longer quiet. It was alive, awake, and watching. They reached a closed door ahead. Jason pressed his hand against it, hoping it would open like the last one. It didn't. The girl stepped forward and placed her hand beside his. The door scanned both hands and opened. They slipped inside just in time. The door slammed shut, and the creature stopped outside, banging against the wall with metal fists. Jason leaned against the wall, breathing hard. The girl sat down, shaking slightly. Jason looked around. They were in a new chamber. This one had walls made of glowing crystal. In the center was a floating sphere, spinning slowly. It showed a map of the stars, and one planet was blinking. Earth. Jason stepped forward. "What is this place?" he asked again, quietly. This time, the girl replied with 3 words. "Your past begins." Jason stood frozen as the alien girl's words echoed in his ears. "Your past begins," she had said. But what did that mean? He looked at the glowing sphere floating before them. Stars spun slowly inside it, like a tiny galaxy trapped in glass. One star blinked again and again. Earth. The alien girl stepped closer to the sphere. She waved her hand gently across its surface. Suddenly, it stopped spinning, and then, like magic, it zoomed in on Earth, then pulled away to show hundreds of other star systems, all connected by glowing lines. Jason leaned forward. "What is this?" "A map?" The girl nodded, her voice soft. "Yes, but not of space, of memory." Jason's eyes widened. "Memory?" She pointed to the glowing lines. Your kind, long ago, touched many worlds. Jason stared at her in confusion. My kind? You mean humans? She nodded again. Before your Earth forgot. They were travelers. He shook his head slowly. No one ever told us this. Earth thinks we're alone out here. The girl looked at him sadly. Your kind chose to forget. For safety, Jason took a step back from the sphere. The idea that Earth's people had once traveled the stars felt impossible. And yet, this place knew his name, showed his memories, and now this strange alien girl was telling him. His ancestors were not just explorers. They were part of something much bigger. She led him down a hallway that opened behind the star map. The floor changed, no longer metal, but soft like moss. The lights above grew dim and turned a cool blue. Jason touched one of the glowing walls. It shimmered and spoke, not with a voice, but a memory. A hologram burst into the air. A man who looked like Jason but older, wearing a long coat and speaking in a language Jason somehow understood. We locked the knowledge inside this pyramid, the man said, so that only one of our blood can return to finish what we began. Jason felt his heart pound. That man looked like him. Same eyes, same jaw. Was it possible? More walls lit up, one after the other, each showing different memories. A child being trained with glowing stones. A woman speaking to a council of tall blue aliens like the girl beside him. A group of humans and aliens standing together. Working as friends, allies, scientists, not enemies, Jason whispered. We were with you, weren't we? The girl's voice came gently. Yes, long ago, but then war came. They entered a new room round and large like a dome. The ceiling was high, and the walls curved with tiny silver mirrors. As they stepped inside, the mirrors lit up, and whispers filled the air, voices, dozens of them. All at once, Jason covered his ears. What is this? The girl answered, This is the Chamber of Echoes. It remembers every voice that ever entered the pyramid. The voices spoke in many languages, some alien, some human. Some were calm, some sounded afraid. One voice deep and angry stood out. If they return, they will awaken what should stay buried. Jason turned to the girl. What is buried? She hesitated, then looked him in the eyes and said, Something made by your kind. A weapon, one that ended stars. Jason felt the weight of her words. This wasn't just a temple or a ruin. This was a vault, one holding knowledge, memories, and a terrible secret. Suddenly, the mirrors changed. One of them showed Earth burning, broken. Jason gasped. Another showed the same pyramid, but floating in space. Another showed the alien girl crying over a grave. Jason backed away. These are the future? No, the girl whispered. These are possible futures. The lights flickered again, the temperature dropped, and a new voice filled the room deep. Cold, ancient. Keyholder has entered the final path, if unworthy. Destruction will follow. Jason turned quickly. Did it say destruction? The girl nodded slowly, her eyes glowing bright with fear. You must prove you are not like the ones who came before you. Jason clenched his fists. I don't even know who they were. She pointed to the room behind the mirrors. Then, you must see what they did. A door opened smooth and silent. Jason stepped forward. The girl followed, behind them. The Chamber of Echoes faded to silence, and ahead was the truth. Jason stepped into the new room with heavy feet. His heart was beating fast, and sweat rolled down his back. The hallway behind them closed on its own, sealing them inside. He looked at the alien girl beside him. She seemed calm, but her glowing eyes kept scanning every wall. Jason knew she was afraid too. This room was different. The floor was made of smooth black stone, like glass. It reflected their steps as they walked. In the center stood a raised platform, surrounded by curved walls filled with symbols. The air here was thicker. It felt like something ancient and powerful was asleep nearby. Jason slowly walked toward the platform. A ring of blue light formed under his feet. The girl reached out as if to stop him, but it was too late. The entire chamber began to shake. The platform lit up, and the walls around them began to open. Like flower petals, inside the walls were tall machines, dead and silent. They looked like statues, but each one held weapons bigger than Jason's entire body. He stepped back in shock. "What is this place?" he whispered. The alien girl finally spoke. "This is the Vault of Ends." Jason stared at her, confused. She continued, "Your ancestors made this. They called it the Planet Ender." Jason blinked. "Planet Ender?" She nodded. "A weapon too strong, so they locked it here, forever." The machines on the wall suddenly began to hum. Lights blinked across their bodies, and energy started to flow. The chamber was waking up, and it recognized Jason. From the center of the platform, a console rose. It glowed golden and displayed a symbol, a perfect match to the mark on Jason's hand. He stepped closer, unable to stop himself. The girl shouted, "No! Don't touch it!" But it was already too late. Jason's hand pressed against the console. A beam of light shot into the air. The machines turned toward him, not to attack, but to bow. The alien girl stared in disbelief. "It's accepting you," she said. "You are the one it was waiting for." Jason looked up. The beam of light showed a hologram above them. It was a battlefield in space. Huge ships fired weapons that cracked planets, and in the center one suit of armor glowing with white energy. One man in that suit, destroying everything. Jason's eyes went wide. That man looked like him. "This can't be real," he whispered. But the alien girl only nodded. "It is your blood. Your line. They created this suit. They became too strong, so the others ended them." Jason turned away from the image. "I'm not a weapon," he said. "I didn't come here to destroy anything." The girl stepped closer. "But the galaxy won't believe that. Now that this place has woken, they will come, and they will fear you." Suddenly the wall behind them split open with a loud crash. A large guardian machine stomped into the room. It had 4 legs, long arms, and a glowing red core. It aimed a weapon at Jason's chest. Jason stepped back, but the girl ran forward. She cut her palm with a sharp edge of her bracelet and pressed her blood against the wall. The machine paused, then backed down. Jason stared at her, shocked. "You stopped it." She looked at her bleeding hand and said, "I'm part of the bloodline too, mixed. They made me to guide the one who comes." Jason didn't know what to say. All of this felt too big, too ancient, too powerful. But the truth stood in front of him. The machine, the armor, the girl, everything was connected to him. Jason turned back to the console. A new screen appeared. It showed multiple star systems and messages. Warning beacons were activating. Alien empires, long quiet, had received a signal. Keyholder awakened. Jason looked at the girl. "What happens now?" She gave him a serious look. "They're coming." He stared into the glowing map. This wasn't just about him anymore. He had awakened something that had slept for thousands of years. Now the galaxy would know, and not all would be friendly. Jason stepped down from the platform. Behind him, the console lowered. The machines went silent again, but only for now. He turned to the girl. "We need to get out of here." She nodded. "Yes, before they arrive." He looked over his shoulder once more, at the massive weapons, the glowing suit locked in the back wall, at the ancient secrets his kind had left behind. Then he whispered, "Let's bury it again," but deep down, he knew it was already too late. Jason and the alien girl walked through the narrow hallway. The chamber with the forgotten weapon faded behind them, but its weight stayed heavy in Jason's heart. His hand still tingled where he had touched the console. It was like a part of the pyramid had marked him, claimed him. The girl's palm was still bleeding from the cut she made to stop the guardian machine. Jason tore part of his shirt and gently wrapped her hand. She looked at him with surprise. "You care," she said. Softly, Jason gave a weak smile. "I'm not like the ones who came before me." They entered a small room, warm and quiet. It was filled with golden light and soft humming. The walls were lined with clear crystals. Each one glowing and pulsing slowly, the girl stepped toward one and placed her hand on it. The crystal lit up and showed an image, a man who looked like Jason. He stood with a woman who looked like the girl. They were smiling, holding a small child between them. Jason stepped closer. "Is that?" The girl nodded. "Yes, that is the first." Jason stared in disbelief. "That man looks just like me," she replied. "He was your ancestor, and my ancestor too." Jason sat down slowly. Everything started to make sense. The pyramid. The voice calling him Keyholder. The suit made for his DNA. The guardian machines that didn't attack him. He wasn't just any human. He was part of a forgotten bloodline. A mix of human and alien. A bridge between two worlds. The girl sat beside him. "My name is Sira," she said for the first time. Jason smiled gently. "I'm Jason." They sat in silence. The crystal showed more memories of a time when humans traveled the stars, living in peace with Sira's people. But then came the war. One human faction grew greedy. They created the planet Ender to take control of the galaxy. The Council of Worlds turned against them, and so the pyramids were sealed. The bloodline hidden, the past forgotten. Jason looked down at his hands. "So that's why Earth forgot everything, to protect what we used to be." Sira nodded. "And to hide the truth from the galaxy." Jason stood up. "But now it's too late. The signal is out." Sira turned to him with serious eyes. "Then you must choose, hide again, or stand and be seen." Suddenly, the crystals changed color, from calm blue to flashing red. A loud voice filled the chamber. "Incoming vessel detected. High-speed descent. Identity unknown." Jason and Sira looked at each other. "Someone's here," he said. They followed the signal. She ran to the far wall and placed her hand on it. A secret passage opened, leading upward. "We must reach the surface," she said. "They cannot enter the pyramid, not yet." They climbed through the narrow tunnel. As they rose, the ground began to shake. Sira stopped and placed her ear to the wall. "Ship is landing." Far side of the dune. Jason pushed forward. He reached a hatch and opened it. Blinding sunlight hit his eyes. He stepped out and helped Sira up. The heat of the desert welcomed them again. But something else came with it. A deep sound, like a ship's engine roaring just above. Jason looked to the horizon. A dark alien ship hovered in the sky, sleek, silent, and marked with strange red symbols, nothing like Sira's people. Sira pulled Jason down behind a rock. She whispered, "Blood seekers, hunters of ancient lines. They destroy anything connected to the keyholders." Jason frowned. "How do they even know I'm here?" She answered, "The armor in the vault is not just a suit, it's a beacon." Jason felt a chill run through him. He looked at his hand again, the place where he had touched the console. It now glowed faintly. "They can track me," he said. Quietly, Sira nodded. "They already are." They watched as figures stepped off the ship, tall, armored beings with no faces. They scanned the sand, slowly walking toward the pyramid. Jason clenched his jaw. "We can't let them enter." Sira stood and faced him. "Then you must lead." Jason looked confused. "Me? I'm no leader." Sira took his hand and placed it over her heart. "You carry the blood of those who nearly ended everything. But you also carry the chance to fix what they broke." Jason looked back at the pyramid. The desert wind blew hard. The alien ship hovered closer. The time for hiding was over. The truth was out. Jason was no longer just a lost explorer. He was the descendant of a powerful past, and now the galaxy would either fear him or follow him. The sun burned over the sand as the alien ship hovered closer. Its engines whispered like thunder. The wind kicked up dust, but Jason and Sira didn't move. They stayed hidden behind the rocks, watching, thinking. Jason's heartbeat echoed in his ears. This wasn't just about survival anymore. The galaxy was watching. Sira's voice was quiet but sharp. "They will not ask questions. They will not speak. They will shoot." Jason nodded slowly. He looked at the faint glow on his palm. The symbol had grown brighter, A signal, like a flare in the sky, calling. Attention from faraway stars. He turned to Sira. We need to shut it off. Sira shook her head. It's not that simple. The signal is not from your hand. It's from the armor inside the vault. Jason clenched his fists. So the moment I touched the suit, it started all this? Yes, she replied. And now they think the Keyholder has returned. A leader. A weapon. A threat. Far ahead, dark figures stepped down from the ship. They wore red armor and long cloaks that fluttered in the wind. Each one held a strange rifle, glowing with green energy. They moved in silence, like shadows. Jason could feel the tension in the air, like war was waiting to begin. He looked back at the hidden entrance behind the dunes. They're going to find the pyramid. We can't stop them. Sira placed her hand on his shoulder. No. But we can slow them. Just then, a low beep echoed in the air. Jason looked around, confused. What was that? Sira's eyes widened. They're scanning the sand, looking for life signs. Before Jason could speak, a red beam passed. Right above their heads, it stopped locked onto Jason's chest. Too late, he whispered. The first shot was fired. Sira grabbed Jason and rolled with him behind another dune. The sand exploded where they had been. More shots followed. Lighting up the desert like fireworks, they ran Jason stumbling behind her. A blast threw him forward. His head hit the ground hard. When he opened his eyes, Sira was kneeling over him, shielding him with her body. I won't let them take you, she said. Jason sat up, his ears ringing. I'm not going to run, he said. I need to end the signal, or more ships will come. Sira hesitated. If you return to the vault, you may not come out again. Jason nodded. Then I'll make sure it means something. Suddenly, a strange sound buzzed in the air. Jason looked up. 3 smaller ships flew in from the distance, but they were not red. They had blue markings. With peaceful white lights, Sira gasped, my people. They heard the signal too. Jason stood up. So, not all of the galaxy wants me dead. Sira gave a small smile. Not yet. The red-armored invaders noticed the new ships. They turned their weapons upward. The sky was filled with bright streaks of fire as the two forces clashed. The desert became a battlefield. Jason grabbed Sira's hand and shouted, Now's our chance. Get back to the vault. They ran through the confusion, dodging fire, jumping over broken dunes. Jason's legs burned with pain, but he kept going. They reached the hidden stone door. Jason pressed his hand against it. The door opened faster this time, as if it already knew him. They rushed inside as the door sealed shut. The humming returned. The pyramid was alive again. Jason ran through the glowing halls. He knew where to go now. The vault waited for him. Inside the Vault of Ends, the armor stood in the center, tall, silent. Watching, Jason stepped closer. Sira held his arm. Once you bond with it, you can't walk away, Jason nodded. I don't think I was ever meant to walk away. He placed his hand on the armor's chest. It opened, piece by piece, floating into the air like gentle wind. Then, the pieces wrapped around his body, chest, arms, legs, head. The moment it sealed, Jason felt everything, the pyramid's power, the galaxy's eyes, his ancestors' memories. He could see ships in orbit, messages flying between stars, all asking the same thing. Has the Keyholder returned? Jason turned to Sira. Her eyes were wide, half in awe, half in fear. You're glowing, she said. Jason looked at his hands. The suit pulsed like a heartbeat, alive, awake. But something had changed. Jason didn't feel like a weapon. He felt like a beacon, not for war, but for truth, and the truth was about to shake the galaxy. The armor hummed softly around Jason's body. It was light, but he could feel the strength inside it. His senses had changed. He could hear sounds far away. He could feel vibrations in the ground. He could even sense the fear of the enemies above. The pyramid had accepted him, and now, so had the galaxy. Sira stood beside him in silence, her eyes filled with awe and worry. You are the Keyholder now, she whispered. Jason nodded. I didn't ask for this, he said. But I can't run from it anymore, alarms echoed. Through the pyramid, red lights flashed above them. The voice of the ancient system spoke clearly. Breach detected. Outer walls compromised. Defense protocol activated. Sira stepped toward the glowing wall panel. They're breaking through, she said. Jason could already feel the heat from outside. The red-armored invaders had reached the base of the pyramid. They were using drills, plasma torches, and sonic weapons. The sand trembled under each strike. Jason raised his hand toward the wall. The armor responded instantly, creating a map of the battlefield outside. He saw enemy forces gathering in a circle, and ships hovering just above. His mind connected with the pyramid's old defense systems, dormant for centuries, but now waking up. I can control the pyramid, Jason said, surprised. Sira stepped back and nodded. You are the only one who can. Jason touched one of the glowing symbols. Suddenly, towers rose from the sand, disguised weapons hidden under centuries of desert dust. Turrets turned, lights blinked, and then fire erupted. Lasers, energy blasts, and shockwaves shot into the sky. The attackers were caught off guard. Several of their ships took hits and began to fall. But more were coming. Jason focused. He saw one massive ship descending, twice the size of the others. It glowed red like fire. That's their command ship, he said. If that lands, we're finished. He closed his eyes and reached deeper into the armor's system. Memories flashed in his mind. Ancient battles fought in space. Humans wearing armor like his, fighting side by side with aliens, Sira's people. A time when they trusted each other. A time before the fall. Jason opened his eyes. He wasn't just some explorer now. He was part of that forgotten story. And now he had a chance to rewrite it. He turned to Sira. I'm going to face them. Her eyes widened. You'll die, maybe, Jason replied. But I won't hide while others fight for me. Sira grabbed his wrist. Then I'll go with you. Jason looked into her eyes. You don't have to. She smiled faintly. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for us, for what we lost. They left the vault together, climbed the narrow tunnel back to the surface. The moment they stepped outside, the wind roared. Flames lit up the sky. Smoke rose from burning ships. Jason stood tall in the armor. Red lights circled him, targeting him. The red-armored soldiers paused. Some stepped back. They had heard the old stories, and now they saw him with their own eyes. Jason raised his hand. The suit glowed bright white. He sent a signal, not of war, but of warning. This planet is protected. His voice echoed, across the airwaves, across the ships. Leave now, or face the wrath of a power you don't understand. Some ships turned away, scared, unsure, but others fired. Lasers shot toward Jason. Sira jumped in front of him. But the armor shielded them both. A dome of energy surrounded them. Then Jason lifted both arms. He sent a shockwave into the ground. It cracked the sand and threw the attackers backward. Weapons flew from their hands. Ships lost balance. Jason stepped forward. I'm not your enemy, he shouted. But I won't let you destroy what we buried, what we promised to protect. From above, the largest ship shook. Blue ships from Sira's people arrived. They fired support beams, pushed the attackers back into the sky. Finally, the red ships retreated. They had seen enough. The Keyholder lived. When silence returned, Jason dropped to one knee. The armor dimmed, his body ached, but he was alive, and the pyramid stood tall. Untouched, Sira knelt beside him. You did it. Jason looked at the burning sky. No, we did it, he said. Together. She smiled gently. You are more than the Keyholder now. You are a new beginning. He looked at her, his voice soft. Then let's begin again. And above them, in the vast sky, signals were still being sent. But this time, they didn't say weapon, they said hope.